34. Nicole. The black long-sleeve top and pair of slacks I'm wearing are 2 sizes too big, because they're not mine, they're Mom's. It feels strange to wear her clothes to her own funeral, but I didn't have any other options. I hold the urn close to my chest. She's inside of it, or at least, what's left of her. Michael emerges from the hallway, looking polished and pulled together. "Nice suit," I say. He readjusts his cufflinks and says, "Thanks. How much was it?" Michael rolls his eyes and smooths the sleeves of his jacket. As much as I resent him for having so much more than me, it hasn't been all bad having him home again. He buys the good liquor. He's kept the fridge full this week. And he protected me, just like he did when we were kids. Beth's footsteps click down the hallway, growing louder. She's dressed in a black top, skirt, tights, and a pair of heeled boots that extend to her knee. Her clothes mold to her curves, and most of them look new. Even her hair is swooped and clipped up. Her makeup is minimal, but it's clear she took her time applying it. I can't remember the last time I saw her put any effort into her appearance. But I wonder if the effort is for Mom or for Lucas. "You look nice," I say. She nods and beelines to the bottle of scotch set on the countertop. Beth splashes more than a shot into a coffee cup and slams the whole thing. Michael looks to me with an expression that says, "What's going on with her?" We're both concerned for Beth. She watched Mom die. That couldn't have been easy. And I think a part of her perished with Mom. She seems close to falling apart, splitting right down the middle. I'm already broken, so there's no need for them to worry about me. Shattering a fragment of a fragment means nothing once the structure is gone. Beth straightens her skirt and glances at Michael, and then me. She extends her hands, so I pass the urn to her. "Ready?" she says, holding it against her chest. Beth's acting as though we're just running an errand, rather than attending our mother's funeral service. But maybe it's helping her get through this. Outside, we walk to the top of the property line where the old farm fence separates our land from the neighbor's cow pasture. The sun is starting its descent, a fireball crashing slowly into the horizon, streaking the sky with hues of orange and pink. I read online that it only takes around 5 minutes for the sun to set. It's fleeting, and I think that's why Mom had such an appreciation for it. We value the briefest moments most, because they are the ones that define us. A first kiss, a sudden death, an accident, a marriage proposal, a high. "We're gathered here today, too," Beth starts. I stifle a laugh, but it comes out fast and sudden like a sneeze. "What?" she snaps. "That's the start of a wedding ceremony, not a funeral," I say. "Then you do it," she huffs. A high-pitched squeak interrupts our bickering. Lucas pushes Susan in a wheelchair across the road, stopping at the top of the steep driveway. One wheel screeches every few feet or so. Lucas waves his hand to signal to us. It's clear he won't be able to get her across the yard. "We should go over there," Beth says. All the color in her face has drained, leaving her looking pale and sickly. "Are you sure that's a good idea?" My eyes go to Lucas and Susan, 30 or so yards from us, and then back to Beth. "You don't look well." She takes a couple of deep breaths. "I'm fine. I'll be fine. Lucas said they won't stay long, so let's just get this over with," Beth says, starting across the yard. We follow behind. "Hi, Lucas. Hi, Susan." Michael greets them as we approach. He shakes Lucas's hand. Then he kneels in front of Susan's wheelchair, holding her frail hand. Susan looks exactly how I thought she would. Like someone that life hasn't been fair to. Although she's wearing an oversized down jacket, it's obvious how feeble she is, weighing no more than 100 pounds. Her sallow skin is etched with wrinkles, and her eyes have lost their shine. Like the person behind them is half here, half gone, or just wishing to be gone. I still can't believe what our parents did to her, especially my mom, since they were friends. I guess we do what we do to survive. Hi, Brian, Susan says, placing her hand on Michael's. Beth and Lucas exchange a concerned look. Mom, that's Michael. Brian and Laura's youngest. Lucas corrects her. Susan crumples her face in confusion. Where is Brian, then? My eyes go to the road, thinking this would be the perfect moment for him to arrive, veering into the driveway in his old black truck. But after our failed attempt to track him down, I finally realized that I'll never see my dad again. Maybe I'm saying goodbye to him, too, today. He went to the store, Michael says, delivering a quick smile. Her face flattens, and she looks at her spindly wrist as though she's checking the time. He's been gone a while, she says. Michael nods and gets to his feet. Yeah, he has. And Laura, where's the birthday girl? Beth clutches the urn a little tighter. Lucas mouths, sorry, to us, and bends down to eye level with his mother. Mom, we're here for Laura's funeral. She passed away. Do you remember me telling you that? Confusion gathers on Susan's face again. She furrows her brow in frustration. No, that's not true. Laura and I were just talking the other day. She said she knew where Emma was, that she'd show me. My eyes go wide. Michael coughs and clears his throat. Beth's eyes fill with tears. Her bottom lip trembles and she sucks it in to bite it. Did Mom really try to tell Susan what happened? Or is Susan's mind in 1999, back when Emma went missing? I'm going to take you home, Mom. Lucas holds eye contact while he slowly gets to his feet. Where's your sister at? Susan asks, ornery now. She's out on a bike ride, Lucas says, exchanging a glance with each of us. He whispers, I'm sorry. She was much better this morning. It's all right, I say. Don't worry about it, Michael adds. Lucas reaches for Beth's hand and holds it while Michael and I retreat a few steps to give them a moment. He tells her he'll call later, thanks her for letting him stop by, and then drops her hand. Emma better be home before dinner, Susan says, as Lucas starts to wheel her back up the driveway. Beth turns toward us, tears streaking her face. Do you think Mom really said something to Susan? I ask. I don't know, she says through the tears, her voice cracking. What do we do? I ask. Nothing. Even if Mom confessed to Susan, she's too far gone for anyone to believe her, Michael says in a hushed voice. But if Mom did tell her, maybe that's what she wanted, I say. Stop, Beth interjects. She looks down at the urn and takes a deep breath, composing herself. The only thing that I know Mom wanted was for her ashes to be spread around this property. She pulls the lid off, and Michael takes it from her. Her hand disappears inside of the container and emerges with a handful of ashes. Beth tosses them into the wind and says, No matter what you've done, Mom, I still love you. I slide my hand into the urn, collecting a scoop of ashes. I don't say anything before scattering them around me. I had planned to say something at Mom's service, but now that I'm here, I think those words are better left unsaid. Michael hesitates when Beth extends the urn to him. He never liked the idea of cremation, so I'm sure flinging Mom's ashes around is even less appealing to him. She nudges the urn toward him again. Finally, he lets out a heavy sigh and dips his hand into it, holding up a palm full of ash. I can't believe this is what we're reduced to when we die. Ashes. He turns his hand over. Some of the dust swirls in the air, while the rest plummets to the ground. Sometimes we're reduced to much less when we're alive, I say. Beth and Michael exchange a worried look. We walk the property, scattering her ashes and reminiscing on our favorite memories of Mom. The wind carries some of her away. The rest lands on the dewy grass, melding with the earth. By the time we're done, the sun is just a sliver, the horizon nearly swallowing it whole. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, as the sun eventually sets on us all.
35. Laura. December 27th, 1999. The sound of the shower sputtering to life jolts me awake. It's pitch black and quiet save for the running water. The numbers on the alarm clock glow red with the time. 3:06 a.m. My hands search the other side of the bed, sliding along the twisted sheets and comforter. It's empty. Where's Brian? A streak of light glows beneath the bathroom door. Why would he be showering right now? I flick on the bedside lamp as I get to my feet and slip on my housecoat. I stare at the bathroom door for a moment, waiting for my eyes to adjust. When they do, I push it open. Brian stands on the other side of the fogged-up shower door. His head is tilted forward while the stream of water splats against the back of his neck, running down the sides of his face. "Brian," I say. His shoulders jump and he slowly lifts his head. "Yeah, Laura." "What are you doing?" He hesitates before he responds, so I know whatever he says won't be the truth. "I think I'm getting sick. I woke up sweating. Thought it'd help to take a cold shower." The steam fogging the mirror and shower door tells another story. I glance down at the floor, spotting his clothes crumpled in a pile. Bending down, I pick each one up and examine it. "Laura," he says, "you can go back to bed. I'll be out in a minute." I don't respond and continue inspecting the damp clothes. His winter jacket has several dark spots. I press my fingertips against one and pull away, noticing the red stain it leaves on my skin. Bringing my fingers to my nose, I sniff the smell of iron. I know exactly what it is, because only one thing smells like that. "Laura," Brian says, poking his head out of the shower. My gaze meets his, and he practically deflates. "Are you hurt?" I ask. He shakes his head and grabs a towel hanging from a hook on the wall. "It's not my blood." He dries himself off quickly. I stare back at him, narrowing my eyes, but all I can see is a shadow, a looming black figure floating through the steam toward me. "What did you do?" "I didn't do anything," Brian says, wrapping the towel around his waist. "You did this." What? The word comes out as two syllables. The first sharp and angry, the second a forced whisper, realizing the time and that the kids are asleep. "How did I do this?" Brian walks to the mirror and swipes his hand over it, clearing the condensation. He finger-combs his hair while his reflected eyes lock onto me. "When you staged Emma Harper's bicycle at the dead end." I clench my jaw and fold my arms across my chest. "Yeah, so? I wasn't going to sit around and let an innocent man rot in prison for something he didn't do." Brian turns to face me. He wears a look of frustration mixed with disappointment. "Well, you won't have to worry about that anymore, because Charles Gallagher is dead."
36. Beth. Mom's funeral was yesterday, and I think it'll always feel like it was only a day ago. That's how Dad's disappearance still feels, like it was yesterday. The moments that change us forever always feel recent, because we carry them with us whether we want to or not. I tape up a box marked donations and set it in a stack with the others. The house is quiet. Not peaceful, just quiet. Michael and Nicole left for Beloit about 20 minutes ago. She was getting shaky and needed her methadone treatment. If she went another day without it, I worry she'd relapse. I know she's been skipping days, trying to get clean faster, but it's only making things worse. I get to my feet and survey the living room. It's all neatly packed away in boxes. We've gone through everything except the kitchen. I still have to decide on the furniture and the house. The more I've thought about it, the more I'm leaning towards selling it to Michael. He did offer well above market value, I checked, and that money would be life-changing for me. I could pay off debt and visit my daughter in person instead of playing phone tag with her endlessly, always losing. And Nicole would have a place to live, although I don't think it would make her any less of an addict. As much as I don't want Michael to get his way, I've realized that resenting him won't help me. Resentment only poisons the person who consumes it, not the one it's intended for. Michael and I are proof of that. Knuckles rap against the front door. I get to my feet and make my way to it. "Hey," I say, pushing the squeaky door open. Lucas stands on the porch, holding a bouquet of yellow roses and wearing a faint smile. "These are for you." I take the flowers from him and bring them to my nose, inhaling their bright scent. "Thanks. Come in," I say, moving aside for him to enter. He hesitates before crossing the threshold. Lucas hasn't been inside this house since he was 18. It must feel like stepping back in time. As I pull a vase from an open box and fill it with water, he kicks off his boots at the door. My eyes keep going to him while I unwrap the flowers and snip the ends. Lucas walks into the kitchen and glances around, taking in his surroundings. The way his eyes bounce to every corner, to the ceiling, to the floor, it's like he's standing in a museum rather than my childhood home. I arrange the yellow roses in the vase and set them on the kitchen table. They seem out of place, at least to me. We lock eyes, and I wonder how I ever looked away from him to begin with. He looks a little rough, and I can tell he hasn't slept well. But he's still handsome to me. My fingers tingle as I imagine running them through his soft, scruffy facial hair, over his broad shoulders and down his firm pecs. I wonder if his fingers are tingling too, just at the thought of grazing them along my skin. Or am I the only one having these thoughts? "How was the rest of the funeral?" he asks, delivering a sympathetic look. His hands grip the back of the kitchen chair in front of him. "It was how she wanted it." He slightly nods. "Sorry about my mom." "There's no need to apologize," I interrupt. My eyes flick behind him to the VHS tape set on the VCR in the living room. It sits there, so unassuming. It's the only thing I didn't pack up. I just couldn't bring myself to. How do you pack up a secret like that? I force myself to look away, and my eyes land back on Lucas before he notices my split attention. "Where are your siblings?" "They went into town," I say, not offering any further explanation. He nods, glancing around again, almost like he's looking for something. "It's kind of weird being in this house." "I bet." "It's been a while," I say, as I walk into the living room and push around a few boxes. I don't know what to do with myself, or how to act around him, especially with that VHS tape staring at me. He follows me and stuffs his hands into the pockets of his jeans. "It feels like both yesterday and a lifetime ago." Lucas tilts his head. "It's funny how time works. They say it's linear, but sometimes it feels like it's happening all at once. You know?" "I know exactly what you mean," I say. My eyes go to the tape again. If I played it for him, he'd be transported back to 1999, and finally, after all this time, he'd know exactly what happened to his sister. The past and present, unfolding and happening all at once. "Can I get a tour?" he asks, pulling me back to the now. There's a small smile on his face, and I force myself to return it. "Sure. A lot has changed since you were last here." "Really?" "No," I tease. Our smiles grow just a half-inch or so. The tour is short, as the house isn't large by any means, And now we're standing in my bedroom, and it feels like we're 16 again. The walls are bare now, and all that's left from my childhood is a bed, a dresser, and a desk. My suitcase sits open in the corner, which is what I've been living out of for a few months. Pencil markings on the door illustrate Lucas's and my heights. When we first started dating, we were basically the same height, but he shot up over a foot our sophomore year, and I stopped growing after that. My eyes go to the window, and I remember all the times he snuck in and out of it. I wonder if that's what he's thinking about. He scans the room, not saying anything, but the corners of his mouth curve up, then straighten out before curving again. Waves of fond memories crashing against the shore of a much bleaker present day.
Do you ever think about us?
He asks. His Adam's apple bobs, as though he meant to swallow that question but uttered it instead. All the time, I say. I haven't told the truth in a while, and my words surprise me. I'm also not usually this forward. It's hard to be forward when you've been living life backward. He inches closer to me, and we stare into each other's eyes, getting lost in them, finding our way back to one another. I used to think we were supposed to be together because he was the boy who lived across the street, but now I know geography had nothing to do with it. His hand brushes against my cheek, and it stirs every nerve in my body. I can feel him everywhere, even though he's only touched one part of me. I missed you, I whisper, leaning my head into his hand.
I missed you too, Beth,
he whispers back. There's nothing more to say. My heart races, pounding against my ribcage, and my mind calms for the first time in a long time when his lips meet mine. It's like I've found something I thought was lost forever. Our mouths open and close as our kiss becomes hungry. I bite his lower lip, and he moans. I remember the first time I did that to him, he responded the same way. His hands run all over my body, from my back to my breasts to beneath the waistline of my jeans. His fingers crawl past my pubic bone, eventually finding what they were looking for. I kiss him so hard that I have to pull away to come up for air. His lips graze my ear and neck, while his fingers rock inside me, leaving me panting and wanting more. Lucas pulls his hand from inside my jeans and kisses me again. His fingers curl under the hem of my shirt, and he tugs it off. I do the same to him, my nails running along his pecs and abs. We climb out of our jeans and fall onto the mattress. We could collide with pavement or loose gravel or even a floor covered in Legos, and I wouldn't care as long as it was him I was falling with. I leave the bathroom and grab 2 beers from the kitchen before returning to my bedroom. Lucas slides his shirt back on and smiles at me as I stand in the doorway watching him. Thirsty? I ask, holding out a bottle of beer.
Parched.
He takes it and gulps, his eyes never leaving mine. Better? I ask. Lucas makes a refreshed sound and wipes his mouth with the back of his hand.
Better,
he says. I take a sip, while Lucas meanders over to the window, looking out at the front yard. You can even see his house from it, just barely. I remember falling asleep staring out. Knowing he was close by always brought me comfort.
Is this a one-time thing?
He asks, turning to face me. I hope not. The corners of his mouth curve up, and his blue eyes seem to brighten to the shade of the sky behind him.
I hope it's not either.
I close the distance between us and lean into him, pressing my cheek against his chest. His heart beats slow and steady, but then it starts to race.
There's something I never told you. It's about why I broke up with you our senior year,
he says, looking down at me. His face has turned serious. I take a step back so I can see all of him. I thought it was because you were going off to college and I wasn't. He shakes his head.
I would have never ended it with you over distance.
My eyes start to sting, threatening a release of tears. Then why did you?
It had to do with my dad.
I know, Lucas. I know how hard it was on you when he died, And I wanted so badly to be there for you, but you shut me out.
I didn't shut you out because I was grieving.
I don't understand.
My dad's death wasn't an accident,
he says. Yes, it was. It was a hunting accident.
No. He committed suicide.
I shake my head, but no words come out.
He did, Beth. He even left a note behind. My mom just hid it, and the sheriff helped make sure the cause of death was listed as accidental for life insurance purposes. He felt bad for her, and I think a bit guilty after never finding the person responsible for Emma's disappearance.
Lucas lets out a sigh and hangs his head. I'm really sorry, but I don't understand. What does that have to do with you breaking up with me? He furrows his brow.
I think my dad had something to do with Emma going missing.
What? Why would you think that? Lucas takes a seat on the mattress.
Because of the letter he left behind.
What did it say?
It said he couldn't forgive himself for what he'd done.
My eyes are wide, flicking between Lucas and the door. The door that leads to the hallway that leads to the living room that contains the VHS tape, and the VHS tape that holds the truth. How could he think his dad had anything to do with Emma's death? I mean, I remember Eddie being strict and a bit short-tempered when Lucas broke his rules, like being late for curfew or talking back. Maybe that was enough for him to think the worst of his dad.
I worried that I was like him, or could be like him.
He looks up at me again.
So I broke it off with you. I figured I was doing you a favor, protecting you.
The tears that fall from my eyes are hot and heavy, full of sadness and anger. Maybe he wasn't referring to Emma, I say, taking a step toward Lucas.
What else would it be about? Plus, he killed himself on the 2-year anniversary of her disappearance.
I feel sick. My heart pounds so hard I think it might crack a rib. Sweat gathers at my hairline, and my stomach flips and twirls. I force small breaths through my nose. Inhale, hold for 4, exhale. But no matter how I breathe, years of regret and resentment are threatening to pour out of me. You can only hold so much in before it all comes gushing out. I race to the bathroom, making it to the toilet just in time before I throw up coffee, bile, and the few sips of beer I'd had. My entire body retches. Then I feel a hand on my shoulder. He holds my hair and rubs my back, and I heave until I have nothing left inside of me. When I'm done, he leaves the bathroom so I can clean myself up. I find Lucas in the living room, surveying the packed-up boxes. It's like he's looking for something. The VHS tape sits on top of the VCR. I wonder if he's noticed it. I clear my throat to make my presence known. He stops inspecting my parents' belongings and whips his head in my direction, taking a step toward me.
Are you all right?
He asks. I nod but look to the floor, unable to make eye contact. Sorry, I say.
Don't be. It's a hard truth to swallow. Trust me.
He lets out a sigh. It takes a few moments before I can finally look at him. It's difficult, but I force myself. I don't think it's the truth, Lucas. He squints and tilts his head. Before he can say anything else, and before I can talk myself out of telling him, I walk to the VCR and pick up the tape, flipping it over in my hand.
What's that?
He asks. It's the truth of what really happened to Emma. His eyes grow wide, and his mouth parts slightly. It looks as though he's either going to scream or break down in tears, but I'm not sure which it will be. We found this tape when we were going through our parents' belongings. There's a short clip on here, only a minute or so in length. I don't think they ever meant to record it.
What's on the tape, Beth?
A vein bulges on the side of his neck, and his bottom lip trembles. It's from June 15th, 1999. His eyes fill with tears, and his mouth forms a hard line. Emma's on it. I don't know what happened to her, but I know my parents found her body down by the creek and they got rid of it.
What are you talking about, Beth?
Just watch. The tears fall fast and hard, streaming down his face and then clinging to his jawline. He shakes his head but says,
Let me see it.
I look at the tape and nod. This might be a mistake, but I can't keep this from him, knowing that he's blamed his dad all these years and that my parents destroyed the future I should have had with Lucas. Kneeling in front of the television, I slide the VHS tape into the VCR. It takes a moment before it clicks into place, and then it makes a humming noise. On screen is our backyard at night. An owl hoots in the distance. The moon illuminates the tree line. The video camera scans the darkness. The branches of the trees look like hands and fingers stretching out in all directions. Lucas's breath hitches. In the distance, my father calls out,
Laura!
The camera swings to him, and the screen fills with black and white static. I squint and take a step closer, waiting for the picture to come back on screen. I know what happens next. My dad appears covered in blood. But it's just static. I glance over at Lucas. His eyes are narrowed, but still glued to the TV screen. Picking up the remote, I fast forward. The tape stops and auto-ejects. I pop it back in and rewind it to the start of the dark tree line. It plays out again, and as soon as my dad calls for my mom, the screen turns to static again.
Is this some kind of sick joke?
Lucas seethes. The veins throb in his neck. What? No! I eject the tape and look it over. The label reads Summer 99. This is the tape. Emma was on this tape. I swear, Lucas, it was here. Emma was on this tape. She was dead. My parents got rid of her body. They kept it from everyone. My words come out in a desperate panic. He shuffles a few steps back, shaking his head.
You're losing it, Beth. You're really losing it.
No, I'm not, Lucas, I cry out. I'm telling you, it was on this tape. I don't know what happened to it, but it was here. I saw it. I glance at the tape again. It's over 20 years old, and I know they wear out. But I saw it a couple of days ago. How could it just wear out? Or maybe it was the break-in. Maybe the only thing they took was this clip. Erased it somehow. Or the tape was damaged when I watched it over and over again. Or Nicole or Michael? They didn't want their precious reputations ruined. Before I can explain any of this, Lucas is already backing out of the living room, eyeing me like I've lost my mind, just like everyone else in his life.
This was a mistake,
he says. My face crumbles, and the tape slips from my hands, crashing to the floor. No, it wasn't! I try to close the distance between us. I love you, Lucas! He backs away from me like he's scared of what I might do. Or maybe what he might do.
I'll always love you, Beth, but I was foolish to think we could just pick up where we left off. You're not well, and I'm not well either.
We can get through this together this time, I plead. Lucas doesn't argue with me. He just shakes his head, turns on his foot, and leaves the house. Saying nothing is the worst way to end everything. No chance to plea. No chance to explain that I am trying to do the right thing and give him closure. He's just gone. My eyes go back to the VHS tape, lying on the floor of the living room. I saw it. Didn't I? I drop to my knees, letting out a howl of a cry. The pain of losing him when I thought I had him back is nearly unbearable. We can only endure so much before we can't anymore.
37. Michael. What the hell? I yell as I pull into the driveway. Nicole lifts her head from her notebook. Oh my God, what is she doing? A fire is ablaze in the front yard. Flames dance and flicker atop a pile of cardboard boxes. Beth stands beside the inferno, squirting a container of lighter fluid into the roaring heat. The fire leaps with joy at the new fuel, rising to over 6 feet in height. She picks up another box and tosses it with the others. Embers shoot into the air and the fire continues to dance. I throw the car into park at the top of the driveway and jump out of the vehicle, racing toward Beth. Nicole does the same, screaming her name. Beth ignores us, or doesn't even register that we're here. She throws another box onto the fire. It's labeled Elizabeth. She picks up a jerry can of gasoline lying in the grass beside her and throws it on top of the flames. I increase my speed, running as fast as I can. "Beth!" I scream. She never looks in my direction. She just stares at the fire as it licks the can of petroleum. When I finally reach Beth, I tackle her off her feet, carrying her away from the blaze as far as I can before slamming us both to the ground. The jerry can explodes. The flames grow to 20 feet, and debris and embers spread in all directions. I use my body to shield Beth's. I can feel the heat in a wave on the back of my exposed arms and neck, the hairs singeing off. When the debris stops falling and the flames fade, I roll off of her. She lies on her back, staring up at the blue sky. Tears pour from her eyes in a steady stream, spilling down the side of her face and into her hair. "Beth!" I yell, shaking her shoulders. "Beth!" "Is she okay?" Nicole stands over us. I shake her again, harder this time. She finally snaps out of it. Her eyes dart to me, then to Nicole, and then back to me. "What the hell were you doing? Are you trying to kill yourself?" I say, getting to my feet and brushing off dirt and grass clippings from my clothing. "If I am, I'm not doing a very good job." Beth scoffs as she sits up. "Why are you destroying all of Mom and Dad's stuff?" Nicole screams. She looks at the burning boxes. Some are labeled donate or sell. Her eyes twitch like she can't decide whether to be angry at Beth or feel sorry for her. Beth wobbles as she slowly stands. It's like the ground is shaking beneath her. "It's not theirs anymore. They're gone." "Yeah? So? That doesn't mean you just get to burn it." Nicole throws her hands on her hips. "What was the point of sorting through everything this past week if you were just going to light it all on fire?" "There's no point to anything." "Why are you acting like this?" Nicole yells. "Like what?" She squints. "Like there aren't consequences to my actions? Like I can do whatever the hell I want? I figured I'd try life your way for a while." Nicole shakes her head. "You're such a bitch. At least I'm something." She scowls, and then a smug look crawls across her face. "Oh, and by the way, I'm selling the house. I'm selling everything. There's nothing left for me here," Beth says, looking right through us like she's moved on and we're already a part of her past. "That's fine. Go ahead and sell it all," Nicole shouts. I clear my throat and pull my shoulders back. "I'll have my financial advisor send over the paperwork tomorrow. You don't have to worry about anything, Beth. I'll take care of it all." Her eyes darken. She's no longer looking through me. She's glaring at me. "No." It's resounding. "I'd rather burn this place to the ground than ever sell it to you." She raises her chin. Anger simmers inside of me, threatening to boil over. I can't take any more of this. "Fine. Keep the stupid house. You can live in it and die in it just like Mom for all I care." "Michael!" Nicole chides. My eyes become slits. "I came back here to help, but I should have known you're not salvageable. Neither of you are." I look to Nicole, my older sister who'd rather shoot up than shoot the shit. "I'll see you at the next funeral," I say, turning on my heel and heading toward my car. "I'm sure it'll be one of yours," I call over my shoulder.
38. Laura. December 27th, 1999. Brian takes a seat on the mattress beside me. His hair is still wet from his shower. Beads of water drip from his locks, slithering down his neck. His hands shake, so he places them firmly on his thighs and rubs them up and down the length of his femur. The bedside lamp provides a golden glow, but not enough to fully light the room. It leaves his face in the shadows. "What do you mean Charles is dead?" I ask, staring straight at the tube television set on the dresser in front of the bed. There's nothing on the screen. I should be looking at Brian for a tell of another of his lies, but I don't need to. I'll hear it in his voice. He's never been good at lying. I mean, he's dead. How? I ask. Apparently, I'm going to have to pull every single detail out of him. We used to never keep anything from one another, but now it seems we keep everything. He lowers his head. Eddie killed him. My breathing immediately changes. It's deeper, coming from my gut rather than just my lungs. What? How? What happened? The words come out sharp. Brian sighs heavily. We were at the boar's nest, Eddie and I, and then Charles showed up. He kept to himself, but Eddie couldn't take his eyes off of him. Why didn't you leave then? I tried to convince Eddie to leave with me. I didn't want any more trouble, but he wanted to stay and have a good time. Then he started pounding shots, and the more he drank, the less he paid any mind to Charles, so I thought everything was fine. But it wasn't, was it? I say. Brian shakes his head. No. At some point, Eddie said he had to use the bathroom. It was shortly after Charles left. But he never came back. I went to check on him, thinking he got sick, but he was gone. Figured Eddie headed home, so I closed out and decided to do the same. Brian lets out a deep breath and rubs the back of his neck. Then what? When I was crossing through the park, I heard a muffled cry, so I followed the sound of it, and I found Eddie. He was curled up beside a tree, covered in blood, sobbing. And a few feet from him, Charles was lying in the snow, bloodied and beaten. Brian chokes back tears. Did you call the police? He whips his head in my direction, but I don't look at him. I just keep staring at the black screen. Of course not. Jesus, Brian, don't give me of course not. Why wouldn't you? You think I'm going to call the cops on Eddie? He killed a man. Yeah, because he was convinced Charles had something to do with his daughter's disappearance. Charles would have never been involved if it weren't for you and your anonymous tip. I narrow my eyes. A look of surprise stretches across his face, but he doesn't argue, so I know it's true. He called it in just so they'd stop looking. Charles was an easy target. There was already the question of her shoe prints being in his yard. Plus, no one in town cared about him, so of course others went along with it, echoing Brian's anonymous lie. The Grove wanted justice for Emma, and they didn't care where they got it. I'm sorry, he whispers. I just wanted to protect us. His voice cracks and he hangs his head in shame. You've done everything but. That's not true, Laura. I am protecting us. Where's Charles now? I mean, his body, I ask. I took care of it. What do you mean you took care of it? How? You know how. I massage my temples with my pointer and middle fingers, rubbing them in small circles. I don't have a headache yet, but I will by the end of this conversation. And what about Eddie? I got him cleaned up, walked him home, and told him not to tell anyone about what happened, not even Susan or Lucas, Brian says. I said, if anyone asks, he and I walked home together at 12:30 a.m. You should have never phoned in that tip, and you should have never planted Emma's bicycle. Don't you dare put this on me. You're the one that refused to call the police about Emma. I spit. I still ask myself every day why I went along with what we did, why I let my love and loyalty to you blind me to what we were doing, silence me from asking questions. So don't you start to question me in all of this. Why are we even in this mess? Why didn't you call for help? I told you I couldn't. I need time. Time's up, Brian. If you don't tell me everything, I mean every single fucking detail about what happened to Emma Harper, I'll go to the police myself. I don't care what happens to us. I can't live like this anymore. I turn my head to face him. He lets out a deep breath and cranes his neck, meeting my gaze. You really want to know, Laura? No, I don't want to. I have to. And if you had anything to do with Christy Roberts' disappearance, I want to know that, too. Brian lowers his chin, accepting defeat. Fine, he says, taking a deep breath. But this time, he exhales the truth. I sit there, silently listening to my husband as he tells me what happened to Emma Harper and everything that occurred as a result of what we did. By the time he's finished speaking, I hate him and I hate myself, but I don't blame him, because I would have done the exact same thing.
39. Nicole. The tires on Michael's rental car screech as he peels out of the driveway, hurling down the road at 40+ miles per hour. He didn't even grab his belongings. He just left. Beth stomps off in the opposite direction toward the house. The front door slams with a bang, punctuating her rage. The fire is still ablaze, burning through the boxes. With no one feeding it, it'll be out within the hour. Just a pile of embers and ash. It's true what they say. Nothing lasts forever. A light breeze tickles my bare arm. It hasn't felt anything but the cast that encased it for the past 4 weeks. The doctor finally removed it today. He said my arm was strong enough to not need the extra support. That might be true for my arm, but I'm not so sure it's true for me. Inside the house, I call Beth's name. I can't remember the last time I've seen her so upset. Maybe when Dad went missing. Maybe when she blew out her knee. Or maybe with me. The glass sliding door to the deck is slightly ajar. The wind whips through the crack, whistling. I go to close it and see Beth's head bobbing up and down as she stomps across the hillside, heading toward the valley. One hand is a balled-up fist by her side, while the other clutches a spiral notebook. It looks like one of Mom's journals. I wonder if she's also going to incinerate that. I consider going after her, but figure she wants to be alone. I can put out any fires she might start, but I can't extinguish the one burning inside of her. When the valley swallows Beth, my eyes go to the bare trees. They've been stripped of nearly all their leaves, their most fragile organs, expelled to conserve energy in order to endure the winter season. Sometimes you have to lose parts of yourself just to survive. The sky has darkened to a steel gray. In the distance, thick, bulbous clouds pile on top of one another, brewing a storm as they head in our direction. How fitting. Stacks of boxes still fill the living room, even though Beth burned at least a dozen of them. I drift down the hallway toward my bedroom. I don't know what to do with myself now. The sealed white envelope sits propped against my bedside lamp. Nicole is scrawled across it in my mother's handwriting. I haven't opened it yet. I remember the instructions the lawyer provided when he handed us each an envelope. Your mother requests you don't open until after the funeral. That was yesterday. I pick it up and turn it over. A piece of Scotch tape holds the flap down, sealing the words Mom left for me. My fingers pick at the sticky adhesive. What did she want to tell me? Lifting the flap, I pull out a folded piece of computer paper. It looks like a piece of scrap, because about 1/3 of its length is missing. I wonder why she didn't use a full sheet. Did she not have much to say? One side is blank, but the other has 2 lines of her handwriting. My eyes scan the words. There's not many of them, but I read them over and over anyway, ingesting every letter. A teardrop splashes onto the paper, making the word deserved bleed black ink. Another tear lands on the word wanted. My breaths become rapid and frenzied, expiring from my nose in short, quick bursts. My skin warms as the blood underneath begins to boil. The letter slips from my fingers and slowly floats to the floor. I mouth my mother's parting words once more. You're not the child I wanted, but you're the one I deserved. Regretfully, your mother.
40. Beth. The rain doesn't fall today. It crashes, hurls, bombards, punishes. It's like the sky is angry, making a show of its displeasure. My grip tightens around the wooden handle of a shovel as I drag it behind me, trudging through the long grass. Clutched in my other hand is one of my mother's rolled-up notebooks, opened to an entry dated August 15th, 1999, 2 months after Emma went missing. It was the last line that stuck out to me. She wrote, "I've learned there's a lot of things you can bury, but the past isn't one of them." Emma Harper was never found, and I think that's because she never left this land. I can hear the creek up ahead, babbling like it's trying to talk, trying to tell secrets its mouth swallowed 2 decades before. Without that VHS tape, I have nothing to prove to Lucas that I'm telling the truth. And without Lucas, I have nothing. The rain softens and muddies the ground, making it easier for the blade of my shovel to pierce. It's as though it wants me to unearth the past my parents buried. I start underneath the bridge where Highway X runs over the creek. This is where she was in the video, lying underneath the overpass. The muscles in my arms explode as I dig, scooping up heaping piles of dirt and tossing them aside. She has to be here, I repeat to myself, each time the blade penetrates the soil. I pause only to catch my breath, shake out my arms, and tie back my soaked hair when it clings to my face. The rain falls harder, and thunder roars in the distance. Lightning stretches across the blackened sky. I stop for a moment and lean against my shovel, surveying my progress. Several small holes, each a few feet deep, are scattered beneath the bridge. But there's no sign of her. I steal a couple of deep breaths, readying myself, and go at each hole again, digging as quickly as I can. When my muscles are fatigued, I collapse to my knees. Mud clings to my jeans and shoes, weighing me down even further. My lungs gasp for air. It feels like I'm breathing in shards of glass, and I'm not sure how much more I can take. I let out a wail of a scream. It echoes against the concrete overpass, but is quickly drowned out by a loud burst of thunder, the sky not wanting to be outdone. The creek rises, slowly filling the freshly dug hole closest to its shallow bank. I remember how high the creek can get in the spring. All of this is underwater for a few months of the year. If Emma were buried this close to the creek, the earth would have spit her up a long time ago. My eyes follow the shoreline all the way to the barbed wire fence that separates this property from farmland. There are thick woods on the right side, with overgrown weeds, swollen bushes, and less mature trees that twist into one another, fighting for resources. There's the path that leads to the field of wild grass in the valley beyond that. Maybe she's there. I get to my feet and start in the direction of the hillside, dragging the shovel behind me. If I don't find Emma, no one ever will. Just before I reach the wild grass, the chime of a bell stops me in my tracks. The wind whips, and there's that chime again. I hold my breath to hear it better, to figure out where it's coming from. It rings from somewhere deep in the twisted woods. Pushing past low-hanging branches, I climb over fallen trees, step around burdocks and thistles. I use the shovel to hack through a wall of lush weeds that have grown into a dead bush. Their stems, nodes, and veiny leaves entangle the woody shrub, choking out its existence. I finally break through the invasive species. The gap opens to a small clearing. The bell rattles again. It's attached to a collar meant for a cat. The collar hangs from a wooden cross staked into the ground. Written in Sharpie on the crosspiece is the name Mooch. The handwriting is childlike, and the letters have faded to a light gray. I recognize the handwriting. It's mine. Mooch was my cat. She died when I was 8. Another cross stands a few feet away. The name Timmy is written across it, our first family dog. Another cross bears the name Sasha, another dog. The shovel slips from my fingers, thudding against the ground. I fall to my knees and weep for the past. When there are no more tears left to cry, I pick my head back up and scan the clearing. Raindrops slither through the snaking branches above. A bolt of lightning briefly illuminates the sky. The thunder booms and rumbles. I let out a heavy sigh and get to my feet. My eyes go to the crosses and I realize there are more of them, 6 to be exact. 2 rows of 3 sit on either side of the clearing. Timmy, Sasha, Mooch, Butterfly, Goofy, and Garfield. I inch closer to the opposite end of the clearing where the other 3 crosses stand. Butterfly, Goofy, and Garfield. Butterfly, I say out loud, but the name feels foreign, not one I've ever called out. I don't remember having a pet named Butterfly. Maybe Mom and Dad did after I moved out. But I would remember that. The shovel spikes through the dirt in front of the cross labeled Butterfly. I dig until my muscles are weak, and then I push past the weakness and just keep digging. The hole grows deeper and wider until finally the spade hits a hard object. I drop to my knees and use my hands to scoop and scrape away the soil, unearthing whatever it is that's been buried here. When it comes into view, I gasp for air, falling backward, choking, unable to breathe. It's a skeleton, but it's not an animal.
41. Nicole. I slam on the brakes. The tires skid across the wet concrete as I throw my mom's station wagon into park in front of U.S. Bank. Well, technically it's my station wagon now. I don't remember the drive here. I don't remember seeing a road or other cars or street signs. It was like I was underwater the whole time, my senses drowned out. I glance at myself in the rearview mirror. Blood vessels have ruptured around my eyes, leaving a spattering of tiny purple and red dots. It could have been from holding in a scream until it felt like my head was going to explode. My mascara is smeared and streaked down my cheeks. I wipe it away and try to compose myself, smoothing out my hair and dabbing my eyes. The rain drums against the windshield. I unclench my hand, revealing a small silver key surrounded by a palm of bloody gouges. The air stings my skin that's been frayed from squeezing it so tightly. I take a couple of deep breaths. The lockbox Mom left for Beth is in this bank, and I'm sure it must contain some money or at least something of value I can sell. My hands shake and my collapsed vein almost seems to bounce at the mere thought of a high. The little prick of the skin, the red cloud, the rush, the feeling of a full-body massage from the inside out. All of my problems gone in an instant. And Mom's words forgotten. It's exactly what I need. I put on a pair of sunglasses and step out of the vehicle, racing for the door to escape the rain. Inside the bank, I'm greeted by an older woman wearing a name tag that says Mel. Her eyes skim over me, tightening and relaxing, like she's made her judgment. She asks how she can help and purses her thin lips. I retrieve a piece of paper from my bag and slide it under the glass window that separates me from her. I'd like to access a safe deposit box. The woman brings the paper to her line of sight and examines it.
And you're Laura Thomas?
No, I'm her daughter. She passed away this week. Mel tilts her head and delivers a sympathetic look.
I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thanks, I say.
Do you have a death certificate?
I shake my head. The bank teller glances at the paper again before typing on her computer.
Let me see what I can do.
Her eyes scan left to right on her screen.
It says here that Elizabeth Thomas is authorized to access the lockbox. I assume that's you?
That's right. I nod.
All right. I'll just need to see an ID.
She delivers a faint smile. I start to dig through my bag, pretending to look for something I know I don't have. My hands shake as I flip through notebooks and journals. I must have forgotten it at the house, I say, slumping my shoulders. Mel pulls her chin in. I'm very sorry. I can't do anything without proper ID. Please, I beg. I can't. I'm sorry. I pull my sunglasses off for only a moment to wipe the tears away. The woman offers an even more sympathetic look. It's clear she feels bad. Loss is a shared experience, and it's why we give to others when they are going through it. Casseroles, money, flowers, even a break. She looks over her shoulder toward an open door at the other end of the bank. Voices murmur inside the room. Her eyes dart to me.
Do you have the lockbox key?
I pull it from my pocket and hold it up.
Okay. If anyone asks, you showed ID,
she says with a small smile. I nod. Mel escorts me through the back, her heels clicking along the tile floor. It leads to a large vault door which requires several keys and a code to open. Behind it is a room lined with metal boxes, stacked floor to ceiling. She walks to one labeled 1407 and inserts a key. Looking over her shoulder, she says,
Yours goes here.
I slide mine into the keyhole, and we turn them at the same time. A little door pops open. Mel pulls out a long metal box and places it on the table in the center of the room.
I'll give you a moment, she says.
I thank her and she exits, leaving me alone with the items my mother left behind. Ones that will help set me free. I pause, letting out a deep breath before opening the safe deposit box. There are no stacks of money. No rare pieces of jewelry. No valuables I could pawn off. There's just a sealed manila envelope with the words, "The Truth," scrawled across it in my mother's handwriting. I pick it up, running my fingers over it. There's more than a letter in here. It's bumpy in some areas. Undoing the metal clip, I open the flap and dump the contents of the envelope back into the box. A small ring with a black gemstone set in the center clatters against the metal tin. I pick it up, running my fingertip over the oval-shaped stone. The color changes from black to blue. It's a mood ring, a relic from the 90s. I set it down and shake the envelope again. An old receipt and a piece of torn clothing fall to the table. Not everything spills out, so I reach inside, removing a first-place blue ribbon and place it next to the ring. For some reason, I feel like they go together. I examine the receipt first. It's for a money order for $5,000. I recognize the name it was made out to, and my father's signature at the bottom of it. My fingers go to the frayed, ripped fabric. It looks like it used to be black, but has faded to dark gray. I turn it over, and stitched to the other side is a name. I recognize that name, too. My hand dips back into the envelope, retrieving a letter. Carefully, I unfold it, already knowing the words inside are going to separate my life in two. Before I knew the truth, and the aftermath. I read the letter, gasping at every startling admission. It's unbelievable. So much so it feels like I'm reading a work of fiction. But it's not. It's the truth. An ugly one at that. I reach the final line. I've taken these secrets to the grave, but that's as far as I can take them. Laura Thomas.
42. Beth. I don't stop shoveling until the plots for Butterfly, Goofy, and Garfield are all dug up. And when I do, I collapse, staring straight up at the tangled branches, the dark sky above them. The wet mud isn't the dirtiest thing I'm covered in. It's the deceit, the grief, the shame. Rain slithers through the natural-formed canopy, splashing onto my sweaty skin. I know it's thundering because I can feel the vibration in the soil, but I can't hear it. I can't hear anything except my own heart pounding inside my chest. Every thump feels like a warning. Run, leave, tell someone, do something. But I just lie there, gasping for air, trying to understand how this could have happened. All of it. I think I might be crying, too. It's hard to tell. It's like I'm numb, but I can also feel everything. My fingers ache from gripping the shovel. The palms of my hands are covered in blisters already torn open. A sob lingers in my throat, stretching out the walls of my esophagus as it builds. I swallow hard, trying to force it down, but it's not going anywhere. Rolling onto my side, I glance into the freshly dug holes. It didn't take long to figure out Butterfly's identity. Susan used to call Emma that because she was bright and always fluttered around. Her skeleton is small and frail. It's all that's left, as her body has decomposed and her clothes have disintegrated. I'm not sure who Garfield is, and I don't recognize the nickname. I just know it's an adult who's been dead long enough for there to be nothing remaining but a skeleton as well. I weep for Goofy. It was what Mom used to call Dad because he could never keep a straight face even when he was mad. I know it's him because of the gold wedding band hanging loosely from the bones of his ring finger. My mother's warning comes back to me, but now I understand what she was saying, at least part of it. Your father, he didn't disappear. A familiar voice shouts my name, but it's like I'm hearing it underwater, a muffled call. I sit up and wipe my face. The tears, rain, and dirt smear together. I try to calm myself so I can slow my heartbeat enough to get to my feet without falling over. I hear my name again. Louder this time. I'm here, I cry out as I peel myself out of the sticky mud. Twigs snap. Shoes clomp through wet grass. Overgrown weeds softly rustle as they're pushed into one another. Hey, I hear again. The wind whips and whistles through the branches, carrying my mother's final words to me one last time. It whispers, "Don't trust."